guy behind the mic?
No, please. I think Jim is
Jim's playing.
other Jim. There's two Jims.
You're blowing me apart, man.
I know, it's
Man, I'm proud. Yeah.
but you know, you meet $1,000. So yeah, he's supposed to be here.
You want me to come up?
Yes.
I'd love to. Could I get a beer and go to the potty?
I will be here.
I'm telling you what the combo is, or is that Friday? Did you tell my wife? Alright, I'll be back to you.
Do not let this man in the broadcasting booth.
Oh, he's got a golden shirt.
There better be like a half an hour delay for that first.
Evan, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
I'm gonna say we're drinking. Did I tell you about Evan's small penis? You say, hey,
now.
we're supposed to keep
Already
this.
live,
Rick
PG-13.
is 13. I said, I've seen him naked. He looks like he's 12. How PG do you want to be?
Please, a very hairy 12-year-old.
Very hairy 12.
He's a very.
I'll be right back.
Joined by Charles.
Question.
Oh, good. More the merrier. So. Alright. So. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 2015 Golden Gate Bonspiel. This is draw number 4. People are just taking their practice slides right now, and I'm going to mute this for just a second while I go over some things with Jim Aller, who's joining me.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the 445 at the Smith. Last year. That was a bit of a wild guess there. Anyway, I think we're going to turn our attention here onto sheet 2 first of all, and out here we have the blue back in the hack. That's what we have. Now we're on to our hitter. Oakland. So they're used to Bay Area Curling Club, and then like we said earlier, they're up against Alan Fraley. We also have Ryan Alvarado, Jen Perez, and Diana Wu. Right now we have Jen Perez, who is throwing the second rocks. And that is Fraley, which is the red rocks. Looks like they're trying to draw. The sweepers are at it. Just hair light. That one really seemed to hang out on them. Pretty straight rock. Up to what Jim's looking here. When we're counting down the rocks, it would appear that Fraley does have the hammer. Once again, we have our last second rock, and that is being thrown by Chris Hitter. Coming around and hoping to grind in here. Wait for that. Yeah, a bit deep. You know, depth perception may not be our best or our strongest suit here. We are 30 or 40 feet kind of behind the near hack, and of course going to the far hack here on end number 1. Alvarado. I'm sorry, that is actually Jen Perez with her last rock. Also, that side of the sheet seems to be hanging out. But you know, we have one in the house, and I think for no crack in the hack for Jim and his team, we've got something that we need to deal with at this point. So a couple of options. There's a few guards out there, and Paul is now throwing his rock. Boy, if you could, Jim, if you could get a little hit and roll, there's one cover behind rock. Let's see what he does. Because I think that might actually. Right. A couple of other rocks seem to have hung out here. This one started to break in. It went hard, doesn't it? Yeah. Oh, we managed to move it over just a hair, but I think it's still open there. Alvarado to come. Okay, Ryan's sizing up the situation. I think that Alan has pretty good. Well, he knows. Like that rock's hanging out that more than they wanted. Gosh, you know, Peter really comes over hard, and the advantage here is going to Jim, who does not have last rock. So once again, come in. Jim I'm gonna say I'd probably put what they can do about it. Like that might be all. Oh, Jim, I think you're right. Any or without the hammer, it's mission. Absolutely. Okay, and Ryan's delivered the rock, and it seems to be way out there. Everything we've seen from rocks on this side prior to this has shown that if they get out, they stay out. They do come in out there. A little tap out of that. Gosh, you know what? Great play. Absolutely. And you know what? I can't quite see from our screen here if he is sitting one or not. It looks like Muyo might be sitting two. Hammer. Ryan's last rock. Coming down, sweepers have played off, and it seems to be hanging out a bit. At all. Yeah, I know he's going to want that one back. Early in the here. And back in his. And what about the high guard out there? What kind of problem do you think that has for what kind of opportunity to get it both ways? Muyo's team, I feel like that high, giving them a good position, sort of forces Allen to play either one side of the sheet. Not really get button there, but depending on the curl of the ice, probably draw either side still and get it to a spot. Well, you know, we played that sheet earlier on today, and there is quite a bit of swing. What he is looking for here, because that really goes more towards the center of the ice. I'm not saying the ice is dished, but there is definitely a curl towards the middle of the ice. That actually, I think the ice maker has done a pretty good job of working. Our ice group is all volunteers, which normally common for skills, but we end up having to sometimes make some modifications even between the draws. So coming off of a quick break that we had our opening ceremony, and they were hard at work as trying to level out and get the pebble where it's kind of tough when you have 128 curlers out there. Some are in street shoes, some are not. And what it does to the ice.
Okay, as we are now waiting for Allen to come down on the ice, having taken a look at the situation, he is playing the same turn. He is playing the out turn. Coming into the house, got that one at the back 8 foot of the blue rock. He's kind of looking for backing. Jim, how many is blue counting at this time?
Right now, it looks like blue is counting 3, from what I can see, and Allen's taking a pretty quick line at it. That stone looks like it's moving.
Sweepers are on it. He's past the guard. Oh, this could be good.
This could be good. It's coming in hot.
Oh!
Great little hit and roll towards the button, and he's sitting in a nice spot there.
Hit and a roll. I know that we still have that guard out there, but boy, I think that Jim is really going to have to thread the needle if he wants to get at that one.
So I noticed we got about 6 people out there watching in the YouTube lands. If any of you guys log in and chat and ask questions, we'll be happy to answer to the best of our abilities. Yep. We are watching the chat pane as well as a fantastic 4th draw.
Jim's coming down the ice right now, and you know what? Jim's got a real good handle on this ice and what it can do, what it can't do. Pretty knowledgeable about the game. Looks like he's going to play the intern hit right now. It's going to be interesting because I think he's going to be fighting the ice here. I think broom placement is really, really important with this shot. Let's see how it works out. Looks a little outside. Do you think he's on the guard? I don't think it's coming over.
It's looked like it's starting to break. And there's the fall. Ooh.
Wow. Well, the bread count in one for sure.
Alan and Ryan are talking about what call they'd like to see here. They have the last rock here, so it's going to be interesting to see if they try to get that in and score 2 or more, or if they're gonna be able to fight their way to the button there.
And you know, Jim, you look at it. It's last rock for red. That's our last rock that we have for Fraley, and he is sitting 1. But he has those 2 up there right now, and it would appear that Blue is sitting second shot. You take a chance on punching it out and counting 3, or do you take your 2? Always a difficult decision to make at a time like this.
Well, being early, they might err on the side of chance and go for the big end. If they miss it, they're still sitting at least 1 or 2.
You would hope so, unless they hit that blue rock a little thick and it would just kind of come in and settle in on the center and they give up a steal of 1. Perhaps 2 in the first end isn't really a bad thing to have.
Not at all.
Let's see what Ellen does. Okay, he's coming in with the out turn. And looks a little light. Sweepers are guying it, though. First end, they're on it now. They're on it hard.
Yep, there they go. Approaching the hog line. It's well wide of that guard, so they're going to get past
they're
there.
by it. Do they have enough? Line's great.
Line is very good.
Come on, guys.
Little light.
Little tap.
Oh,
my goodness. They snuck that through.
Great little draw there.
Jim, we have 2 for sure. Do you think that's 3?
We're about to find out.
Well, they kicked it away. Evidently, they can tell from there. We do not have an overhead camera, but we know that it is at least 2 for the Fraley foursome. So that is it. We're kind of on to our next end as we regroup. Perhaps now would be a good time to take a look at what we have going on sheet number 1. And that would be Joe Smith. Joe Smith, who is playing Glaeser. Did I pronounce that name right, Glaeser?
From what I've heard, that is the correct pronunciation, but if anyone out there in the internet has a better way to say it, we're happy to listen.
We're always happy to listen to that one. Sure looks like Brian Prowd, who is from the
Wine Country Curling.
Wine Country Curling Club. Yeah, really instrumental last year, I think, in taking care of the crush. Bonspiel always held on the long weekend of September, and I understand that they will not be holding it this year, but we'll see what we see. I don't know if anything's certain yet. Currently on sheet 1, we have Brian Prowd and Joe Smith, who are throwing the Red Rocks currently, line 2. And a quick update in that game, we do have Glaeser, who has scored 1 in the first end and is currently leading 1-0. Glaeser, of course, from the Lone Star Curling Club. But let's get back to our feature game right now. So, on the second sheet, we have the team of No Crack in the Hack, Jim Mayu, who he has just had his lead and just threw it through the house. Of course, we also have the other rink of Fraley and Dana Wu, who put up a 3-guard, a tight guard to the house. And I think he's going to try to work with that. You know, Jim, maybe try sneak one around.
Yeah, Fraley looks like he's trying to set something up here, and stone came out, I think, a little lighter than they were expecting. Looks like he's got his sweepers going real hard on that to try to get it to where they need to. It seems to be kind of falling off the sheet there.
You know, we played on this sheet earlier, found out if you got a little wide, that stone just hung out there and would not move at all. So, but here's Jim. He's looking to draw in around, coming in the other way, coming in with the in-turn. And I think we know that this shot moves. This shot curls quite hard. It's all about weight. Let's see what the sweepers think.
Here comes the stone. Sweepers are on it now. They're going for it. Looks like they're judging it to be a bit light. I'm not sure it's going to sneak around that guard there.
Paul and Chris are really working on it.
Oh, just gets around it, and that is into the 8-foot.
Yeah, top 8. Great
Snuck
shot.
that guy in there.
Great shot. Jim, for some of our viewers who haven't watched as much curling, why would they want that stone to be above the tee line rather than behind the tee line?
Well, if you get a stone back there behind the tee line, it creates kind of a backing scenario where you can right down to it. Even if your stone gets hit, that opponent's stone is not going to go anywhere.
So, for example, a shot that's 2 feet above the tee line is much better than a shot 2 feet behind the tee line?
Depending on which strategy and what your goal for the end is, it very well could be.
Very well could be. Okay, we just take a look at Allen's rock, and boy, they made a great shot to come around and punch Jim's shot right to the back. I'm not sure if that's out. I think it's still staying there.
Looks like it might have hung in there for just a backhouse biter.
Jim has a hammer, so sometimes those little biters, those are the ones that come up to kill you. Yeah, we have words for those, but we are airing this, and they told me I had to keep it a PG-13, so we're going to stay away from the acronyms today. All right, so here we go. We have Jim's shot that's coming down. Once again, the sweepers are on it. We're not heavy. I'm not sure if we can get it to the face of the red stone. Pretty close. Come on, guys. Oh, look at that. Great sweep. Great sweep.
Really great sweep there. That rock was hanging out a little longer than I think he was hoping for. Seemed to have just a little bit less weight than he wanted, but I think that shot will do nicely.
Okay, Ellen is actually motioning for a guard up top. A couple of options. He is sitting shot. He doesn't want to leave the run back, but at the same time, perhaps coming into the house and sitting 1-2 would also be a good strategy for him to look at.
So, this is what I believe is the last of Jen Perez's rocks here, and it seems to be coming right across.
Oh, we're a little short.
Oh,
Boy.
it looks like Jim wants to raise and take that red right out of the house and hopefully sit in its place. Interesting shot call here. If the weight's right, this should work out. Otherwise, we might end up with a vacated blue.
Actually, you know what? If he makes this, he could sit 2 with his shot rock, his closest rock under cover, pardon me, but it seems to be hanging out. There's not a lot of weight on this rock. Oh!
Looks like Paul took a spill there.
He's good, though.
Everybody's good, and no one burned a stone, and that is just a very kind thing to do. Keep that broom off the ice.
I tell you, there's nothing that hurts more than your pride.
All right, Fraley looks like he's going to come try that guard again.
One more time. Let's see. Now, throwing this stone.
Ryan Alvarado's lined up to throw this
Ryan
one.
in his first one, okay. Because I think was that his second one? I thought it was Jen who was throwing the last one. Rhinestone. Way looks good here. Oh, that looks like a great stone, right? There's no way that he can run that straight back right now. Any play on that would involve an angle. Let's see what Tim is thinking. I think Tim's going to deal with it. Or Tim. Let me try Jim. I got 2 out of 3 of the letters right, didn't I?
Hey, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
You know what? In Major League Baseball, that would really get you places. But when you're on
Too bad we're curling.
2 out of 3 gives you 67%, and you may not be on the team long.
And we've got a special guest here that just joined us up in the booth. We've got Weston Kurlanchek from the San Francisco Bay Area Curling Club. Weston, say hello to the folks.
Hi folks, how you doing? I'm gonna be the other color commentator here besides Charles. Hopefully, giving you guys another viewpoint. I'll be giving the viewpoint of the people who sweep too much, and instead of these guys who are more of the back end players.
Just to give you a quick update, if you didn't see that shot by Muyo, he got a great angle raise off of his outside to the button there, and is now sitting shot about feet off of the button.
The only unfortunate thing is that he actually pushed it a little too far, and it's actually peeking out a bit. So it's gonna give Alan a chance to get rid of that pretty easily, hopefully.
All right, so here's Ryan with his shot. And it's got enough weight to take this out. I know the sweepers are struggling to keep up on this one.
Plenty of weight. Is the line there?
Oh, just a quick nick on the very top of the red, but he still
Still
managed
got enough.
He still
Put it
got that
back.
guy out. All right, Muyo's lining up for his shot here. Looks like he just wants to bring it in and sit a little bit better behind that cover.
I think he actually just wants to get rid of. You see, I think he just called 4 different shots there, so we're gonna try to figure out what he's doing here.
Weston, I thought he was landing a plane the way he was moving that broom. You know, I think he does have a chance to hit that open one.
So we've just been given some inside information here on the chat that it's Glaeser. Glaeser. Like sharks with lasers.
You know what? I think you used your finger punctuation very well on that, on the lasers. Yeah, well done.
And Muyo got a tick there.
Oh.
Snuck out way past the cover.
Sitting
But
1
he's-
and 3 right now.
Yeah.
Always a good time when you're sitting in the 4-foot.
And this just in from that Alana? Oh, Alana Ketchel. Hi, Alana. Yes, Weston's here hanging out for a little bit. Score on sheet 1, we are checking on that for you. We will have that update momentarily.
They've just finished 2 ends, so we're about to see where we're sitting right now. Give us just a moment, Alana, and we'll be right back with you. Meanwhile, we have Alan with his shot. His first of 2 to come. And he's trying for direct takeout on the bluestone that's sitting on the edge of the 4-foot.
If you get a slight flop to be under that red cover, that would probably be the preferred shot at this point.
So the update on the score from sheet 1, it looks like it's all tied up.
Tied
That
up
would be
at
1 apiece.
So it looks like Alan got to the nose of that shot, but not enough to fully take it out. So it's just gonna hang around there at the back. That may prove to be something of a pain at the end of this end. Mostly because sometimes when you try to take stones out and you have little catchers there at the back, it always proves to be a little bit of a problem in terms of your angles. You have to be really careful in that.
Tim's calling for a takeout here, and because the ice slopes towards the middle, he's actually calling for negative ice. He is calling for the out turn, expecting that rock to slide over and grab the negative ice towards the center of the entire ice rink, which is outside of the rings. See how this works out for him. Folks, we're back after that little interlude, little technical issue on my part. We are calling for the negative ice. We are calling for the takeout here of Jim's first shot.
Here it comes down the ice, and the sweepers are ready. They are jogging alongside it, though, so I'm not sure it's going to need a whole lot.
I think they want to do the same thing
There
that
we go.
that Alan was wanting to do, and just hit that a little bit and just flop under.
Ooh.
Gosh, that did not come over for him at all. We have Alan sitting 2 right now with his last shot and 1 to come from Jim's team.
Looks like Ryan's getting the call that Alan wants from for the broom, and we
Looks
are
like they're discussing
lining it
what they want. I think they're maybe just wanting to guard this up. I think he's probably pretty happy with where he's sitting at the current moment. So he probably just wants to protect it and maybe prevent Jim from trying the same thing that he just tried.
Yeah, it kind of goes along with the old miss me once, shame on you, miss me twice, shame on me.
Fair enough, Jim. I think that's an accurate portrayal of the current situation here.
Folks, we have a couple of other games that currently are going on. We're having Markurski versus Marcel on sheet 3. And at this time, it would look like Marcel is down 4 in the first end. That's sheet 3. On sheet 4, we have Bob Cool with Cool in the gang, and they're playing Bisons on the Bay, and I know that John Tryon is on that team, so I think that's going to be a full contact sport. And then on sheet 5, we have Yo Banana Boy versus Bone, and Yo Banana Boy is also from the San Francisco Bay Area. That's Stephen Heidel, TC Altis, my buddy TC, Lauren Schaefer, and Zevi Altis, and they are playing Bone. And Bone is also from San Francisco. That's Doug Bone, Andy Carl, Jenny, it's a long name, and Cindy Beck. Actually, Dan, I'm going to try this. Yeah, that got it? You guys are from San Fran. You got to help me here.
Close enough, Charles.
Sure.
So we're on our last rock here. Muyo's throwing the hammer, and it is coming down. He is looking for that takeout. Looks like he might get it here.
Oh, what a great
nice
shot
shot.
that
Good
was.
shot.
Well,
Looks like Jim's gonna end that with 1.
just sticking around for 1 there. Good
Oh.
shot.
I know that's not what he wanted, but after missing that takeout on his first shot, he's got to be happy walking away with something.
Oh, and you know, when he hit and stuck, right? And on that turn, because of the way it comes across, I think it's tough. So, great shot by Jim Oye.
All right, looks like we're on skipstones. Or no, we're on the other end there. So Joe Smith is and Glaeser.
Did he pronounce that right, Jim? I think you
did.
Well, growing up in the '80s, I was a big fan of.
Michael Glaeser.
Well, there's
right.
Michael Glaeser. I was thinking Laser from American Gladiators.
Oh.
And
Now you just got me in a nostalgia machine.
Don't be
Jim.
dating yourself. I want to get out my rollerblades or roller skates.
No, I think you're right on rollerblades there, Charles. I think
yeah, rollerblades and leg warmers.
Hey,
Yeah.
guys, you know what? Can I tell you an interesting story? We're going to have a little interlude. So I played
Please.
I played some hockey in Brandon, Manitoba. And
I've watched curling before. I know that leads aren't people, so we
Let
can just
me,
talk over
you know
them.
what? I'm gonna tell you this. So I played with another goaltender, and his name was Scott Olson, and he quit when he was 19 years old. He quit playing hockey because he was developing something called an inline skate. He is actually the inventor of the inline skate and sold it to Nike for $80 million and is now a philanthropist. And here's a guy that I played hockey with when I was 19 years old. So isn't that something? And
Amazing, Charles.
I
That's
hope I'm
amazing.
not dating myself
You're
and giving my
not.
age away.
Does that make him the most successful man out of Manitoba?
Actually, you know what? He was from Minnesota. He was a U.S. citizen.
Yeah,
so there
no,
you go. Invented by the U.S. of A.
it was
Proud to
actually
say.
over in Minnetonka. Rollerblade was the original company over there.
Absolutely. That was him, Scott Olson. Google that. Tell me if I'm wrong. Give me a little feedback and let's talk to us at our talk line. Lines are open.
Interesting story, Charles. I grew up actually 20 minutes away from that.
Did you really? Did you
Absolutely.
know Scott Olson?
Or
or know of him?
if I talk to my family, I feel like someone will actually know him.
Really? Okay. Ole the goalie was what his name was. We played together on the Brandon Wheat Kings. So there you go. A little trivia for you folks. This day is not a waste.
So, back to the curling for just a moment here. We're going to get back to all the fun stories. as
Okay,
soon as
we have
possible.
stories.
Some
Diana's
score
letting me know.
updates. As soon as the boards are clear of our site, they are about 220 feet away, so it's a little tough to see.
A little tough.
So it looks like it's they just scored one in that end, so it'd be 3-1.
Which end is that? That's
That was the second end.
That was at the second end, so they should. This is an interesting setup we have here over on sheet 2. So we have one blue at the top of the forefoot and another red that's right over there. Not many guards in this end starting out here. One would maybe think that we're gonna have a hit heavy game here, which may be tricky with this ice. I know I was playing it earlier, and the hits, even though they seem to be nice and open, the ice is a little tricky once you get at the higher weights. What do you think, Jim?
I agree completely.
Okay, well, those two are involved in the self-admiration club. What I would like to do is bring you up to speed on a couple of other draws that we have going on. On sheet 3, we have the team of David Markowski, and who is actually stole one in the second, and he is leading Mansell at a score of 5-0 at this point. That's a bit of a surprise, a bit of a shocker. On sheet 4, we have Bob Cool playing the Bisons on the Bay, and Bob is up 2-1 here after 2 ends. And then, of course, on sheet 5, we have Yo Banana Boy versus Bone, and that one is currently 2-0 for Bone. We're back to you guys. Let's go back to sheet 2. What's our action here?
Our action, it's Muyo's team's throwing. Chris is just slid out of the hack, and it's coming down. It looks like they're trying to get around there, maybe to draw into the forefoot. And it's going to be a bit short. That might work for a very outside corner guard.
You know, once again, having played on that sheet earlier today, we really found out that the sides were quite heavy compared to the middle of the ice. You just had to give it a little extra. And I think that Jim's team just got caught on that shot.
Would that be a bit of the frost on the outside?
Bit of the frost on the outside, I think, and just not getting as much play. There's probably a little more pebble, a little heavier.
Jen Perez just slid out, and her shot's on its way down the ice. It is a little bit more inside than that last one from Jim's team. It's traveling close to the center line, and we could be down towards the 3 zone. All right, Paul's all lined up for his next shot.
Doing a little ritual before he goes out. Something that all of us curlers always do. Prowd, it doesn't look like sweepers are kind of trailing on it, and maybe a little big coming in. They're
Looks
off
like it might slow down nicely there, Weston.
I think so. It's going to be a little far.
And
Yeah,
I'm
just
wrong.
sometimes you just trust the sweepers. As someone who plays front end too much, I tend to trust the sweepers more than you would. Fair? It's fair.
It's a strong point.
It's a strong point there.
Sweepers do walk and time the rocks a lot more than I do. Alvarado's all lined up and pushing out of the hack there.
He's just going to want to thread through that, maybe just get on the side of that and maybe get under that top guard. It's going to need to move quite a bit here.
It started on its way over. It looks like it might have plenty to get to the rings.
Definitely got enough to get over, but is it going to be a little too much? It's cutting hard. It's not going to be a bad shot. It's going to be a little deep, and that's going to provide an opportunity for Jim to kind of follow that same line and freeze onto it, which I think may be the call right now. Yeah, he's looking at it right now.
Sizing that rock up, I feel like Jim's pretty confident that he's going to try to get his rock to freeze just inside of that, possibly even tap that redstone back.
I think what he's saying here is that the worst thing that you could do is just be a little too high on this, and that tapping it's not really too bad. So Paul's coming down, delivering this stone down here. Sweepers are looking at it. They seem to be off of it, which means probably he's got enough. He probably has that tap, if nothing else.
Looks like it's coming in pretty hot there.
A little hot. Oh, now they're on it.
They're trying to get that rock to come over. Is it going to move?
Oh
yeah.
Tick on it, and it's maybe not plan A, but I think it's gonna work. Looks like Alan's gonna, or is that Jim down there?
Looks like Alan now is trying to call the same shot. He wants to freeze right down to that blue rock and either sit shot or outcount the second stone there. So he's in a strong position to either take the end or even just limit the damage.
Jim, I always thought that the freeze is one of the hardest shots in curling. I mean, you got to get your line perfect, you got to get your weight perfect, and you really do need communication amongst everyone in the team. You have to have really good line calls, and you have to have really good communication between your sweepers and your skip.
Definitely one of the harder shots, and proof right there. It came in just a little bit hot and ended up pushing that blue stone back about 8 feet. It's barely touching the back line, but I don't believe that's counting anymore.
No, I don't think so either. And now again, this is the downside of going for that freeze, right? So now you can play that same shot, and it does come in pretty hard there. If you can maybe get to the inside of that and then roll under, you're pretty much going to be in a position where, the other team can't really take you out at all. So, instead of being in an offensive position now, if they would have made that freeze, now they're in a really big defensive position.
The freeze really seems to be an all or nothing shot, doesn't it, Weston?
It absolutely does. The high side's really high, but the low of that is really it really hurts.
They actually talk about the freeze being one of the hardest shots in curling to make. Evidently, Weston just said that, and I came in on the situation, so I'm going to give full credit to him.
It's okay, Charles. We still love you.
All right, here's Jim's shot. Let's see how he makes out with that.
It's on its way down the ice here. Sweepers are at a brisk walk.
They're
trying
right
to keep
off
up
of
with
it.
it. Looks like they're going hard now.
Now
Look
they're
at how
on
this
it.
comes in
They
hard.
need that to come over a lot.
I think he's got a beauty here.
Oh,
Just off. Isn't it funny how Weston and I can think alike even though we're not in the same room for a few moments? I think that's just marvelous, don't you, buddy?
I think it's great.
I don't know. Maybe it's more of a detriment to you than it is than you think if you're thinking like me.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that's the highest compliment I've been paid today. So that's what it's a real curling community. And once we all start thinking alike, I think that's gonna be that might be the downfall of it.
West, I think we're gonna have to improve upon the group of people you hang with.
Well, if it's you guys.
Hey, I just want to give a big shout out to Ben Womack, who's out in Ogden right now. Ben just texted me with a derogatory mark on my personal cell phone. So, Ben, thank you. Thanks very much. Glad to know you're listening among the fan base out there. Looking forward to seeing you in Lucinda in a couple of weeks.
So Alan's set up here. He's in really good position in terms of the rocks. It looks like he's sitting 2, and maybe he just wants to. Again, this is a situation where he maybe just wants to guard and keep the 2 that he's got.
You know, if he's got the 2, I don't think he's got anything to gain with coming in hard. Right now, he's just got to guard that, and he's got his last stone on which he can gather 3. He's gonna make it tough on Jim, but gosh, he looks a little light here. Sweepers are on it.
Yep. Well, they haven't really thrown that many guards lately, so I think their weights are going to be tested here, definitely.
Quick update for you on sheet 1 here. Joe Smith and Glaeser just started their next end, and it's now 3-1. And well, boy, it sure is hard to see which team that has that 3, but it
I think
looks.
that's the Glaeser team.
I think you're right there, Charles.
Okay. No, I am incorrect. It's the Joe Smith. Joe Smith actually skipped by Brian Prowd for that. Who scored a deuce in the 3rd end.
Well, we know Brian Prowd is always proud of a deuce.
I think that gets high 4s. Gotta leave a little room for improvement here.
Jim Muyo's on his last rock at the end, and like he's still trying to get that red one off the button.
Hey, Jim sure comes out nice and square in his slide, doesn't he?
Yeah, he actually spent some time over. He actually travels a lot and spent some time over at the Potomac Club at the dedicated facility over there, and that really helped his game.
Absolutely.
In terms of coming out and having a pretty good solid motion.
Nice little hit there. Left the middle of the ice open, but he is happy to have that red one off of the button.
I think he just needed to have that come and curl in just a hair more. I can't see if blue is shot or if red is shot at this point in time. It's close.
The blue at the top of the 4?
I think it is. Blue's sitting 1. So here comes Allen, and he's looking just for a single here.
Yeah, I think that blue one at the top is going to be really hard to get to. I don't even know if it's there on this ice. They definitely didn't even look at it. So I think he's just going to try to come in and skips get paid for this. You come in, you have that button. You better have button weight on the back.
Okay, and here's Allen with his delivery. Sweepers are watching it.
Looks like it came out a little light there.
It seems to be picking up in speed. I think they're fine. It's just
now there they go.
They want that
is
to
it
come
going to hit
over.
the guard? Oh, they should have just been on.
Oh.
Maybe you should have been on that earlier from Ryan, but that ice is really, really, really swingy at that point. It's really hard to tell when the exact moment of when that's supposed to come in. It looks like it's just gonna be 1 there for blue.
One for blue. Boy, that's a big steal there for Jim.
That brings sheet 2 back into a very, very close game now. It is still going to be the 3 for Fraley and 2 for Cracking the Hack.
So good. We have game on now, don't we?
Yeah, so this is an interesting strategy now. Jim's calling actually for a biter, so he doesn't actually want to take advantage of the free guard zone. It's maybe going to force the action a little bit over to Allen.
I think part of his strategy here is, rather than give up a deuce, he's going to try to force Allen to take 1 to try to make it 4-2. We'll see what happens.
Heather's rock is coming down the center. Looks like it's going to be a little light of that biting position, but it is definitely a great free guard.
Yeah, I think Jim would have liked that a little closer to the center line because he doesn't have hammer, so you don't want to spring that guard over too far, right? It now will allow Allen to play the corner game. But just the same, he's got something to work with. And here we go. Allen's got the redstone. He seems to have plenty of weight. There's a little grind that happens right by the tee line. You're really going to see this rock slow down. So I don't think he's under cover. He's just biting the top of the button. Jim's got something to work with there.
So
Okay.
now it looks like maybe they're just gonna want to do a take out of this and just kind of sit there. Maybe if you can get a little bit of a roll under that high guard there, that'd be great.
So Weston, sometimes in a shot like this, you look at playing a take back or just a little bump back, and sometimes you look at taking it out completely. What would you do in a situation like this?
Well, I mean, I guess it would just be in terms of like how much I got a good feel of the ice. Like if I knew exactly how to get to that inside regularly, I would definitely look to be doing the tap out and roll over. But if I didn't really know the ice that well, I'd kind of just want to tap it back a little bit and leave it there in case they're gonna come straight at it as well and use that as backing.
Right, Jim does not have hammer in this end after having stolen in that last end. So maybe keeping some backing behind the tee line isn't a bad thing. That way he's not going to give up the big end because that's the last thing that he'd need. Now, Allen's got the sweepers on this. He's just called them off. Looking for a guard on his that is sitting on top button.
This rock's slowing down nicely. It might just sit above the house and
Yeah, that's
make
real
it a
nice.
pain to get to.
Yeah, I mean, since that line tends to cut in real hard, that even though it doesn't look to be exactly covering the rock, in terms of how the sheet plays, that's a perfect guard.
Absolutely, I think you're right. Good call.
And Jim doesn't seem to like that rock there, so he's going to attempt to get rid of it.
I think he's forced to deal with it. Sorry, Weston, I interrupted you. You're
No,
probably
no,
saying the
it's-
same thing.
It's fine. Like everyone agrees that that's going to be a problem rock, so it's better to get rid of it now than to try to deal with it later. And I mean, there is a chance for it to run back if he got onto it like that, but I mean, even just leaving it open's fine.
That little split there just opens it right up, and he doesn't have to leave one of his rocks up there, clog up the center for Allen. Going to force Allen to either drop. Yep, looks like he's calling for that same guard.
Yeah, I mean, if it was good enough to be annoying before, I think even if you have it here now, it's still going to be annoying, and I think he's just going to go back to that until Jim can show him something else.
But that sounds like something Fraley might be into. Alan is a math professor, and if there's anything more annoying than math, please let me know.
I don't think there's anything.
I mean, that or dirty ice, it's one of the two. So that's going to be a little high, and that's going to be interesting because I think Jim's going to look at it and see if he could maybe try to come around on that. We've seen really, really, really swingy ice on that side, and that once you get past a certain area, especially that high side, you can really get around those guards in the top. So he may try to get around and maybe even just do a little tick on Allen's shot there at the top of the button. Coming down, looks like they're sweeping it pretty hard.
Looks a little light.
Maybe it's gonna be a little light. Maybe there's a line call. Oh no, I think they're gonna get
they're
it
by
past.
They're
They
by
got
it.
it
Good
past.
sweeping.
They are on their way to the house.
On the way to the house, can they get that slight bump? Is it gonna be
Oh.
enough? Oh, just a little short. But now, since they've actually are a little bit on the outside, that actually sets it up a little bit more, so that if they want to come down later and get a little tick on it, they're just gonna fly that red rock out of there.
You take a look at it from a strategy side, really a great shot by Jim's rink. And what's happened is by sitting on top of that, and I think they're just a couple of inches apart, it has really narrowed the scoring zone. It means Allen's got to come in and draw the full 4 foot to get his deuce. Other than that, he's got to play a guard on it, which once again will limit him to 1. And if there's a time when Jim can say, hey, we don't have hammer and we've limited you to 1, that's all you need. Let's see how this unfolds.
Jen's rock's on its way down, and it's going to be a little bit light. Sitting up
Ooh.
there just above the high guards.
I think the weight was okay. I think they just over curled a little bit. I think if they could get to the inside of that rock and maybe spill over a bit to prevent Jim from taking doing that takeout shot that we mentioned earlier. I think that was more what he was trying to prevent here, and I think Jim's just gonna call it and see if he can, bump that a little bit and maybe even sit too. It'd be pretty much the perfect shot for him.
Yeah, I think advantage goes to Jim right now. He's trying to play this with backline weight just to bump it. He'll keep his two blue rocks fairly close together, hopefully lined up with that red rock in the back to provide some backing. He's calling it tight.
Stone's got to move over a little bit. It's
Yeah,
coming,
it's
but
gonna
it's
be
not
a
coming
little too
quite
heavy.
far enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he wanted that backline weight, and it ended up being about board. So I think that was probably the difference between it being a little too far out and then cutting in and maybe ticking that rock a bit.
Absolutely. This ice is a little squirrely out there, as we've mentioned before. Charles is on this sheet, and I was on the sheet next to it earlier. Some of those up-weight shots, they just don't come back at all.
Well, it seems that the sheet doesn't seem to dive too much until that weight comes off of it. So if you are a little heavy, it's just gonna stay a little straighter.
Being weight sensitive, Weston, you're absolutely right. You add a little weight, you got to take a little less ice. I'm not sure if they have done all this.
No, I think you called Weston out a little bit on that weight-sensitive thing. Weston does look like he's got to be in pretty good shape here. Don't worry about that.
I mean,
I'm not talking about him being weight sensitive. Yeah. I'm not calling you fat with a PH here by any means.
Appreciate that, Charles.
All right, it's all good.
Oh.
Boy,
Fraley
that's,
Stone just came right on in and sat down there.
a couple of options here for Jim. I still think his best option is the tap.
Yeah, but I think his most fun option is going to be that ridiculous double that he could do.
You know what? There's sometimes when we play a shot, we do it because we can, right?
I mean, that would be a shot that you would call because you...
Absolutely. Why are you playing that?
Because it's fun.
Seems to be a little wide here on this shot. Let's see what happens. He does have another one with backing on it.
It's coming on in there. It might not quite come enough, though.
Oh! Just through the goalpost there. I didn't think you could get through there and not hit anything, but he's managed to do it. Really unfortunate break there for Jim.
But now what does Alan do?
This is hard, right? Because, maybe what he wants to do, and, something that I would maybe call maybe a little bit more of an aggressive shot, but maybe just an inside corner freeze to his own red there. Makes that difficult to get out, leaves him two, and doesn't really give Jim many more options besides try to hit something of his out.
Absolutely.
He's gonna go a little bit more conservative here and just guard his good stuff up here.
Folks, I don't know if you can see what we have happening on sheet one, but we have 3 rocks left, and I think we have about 11 rocks in play. We're really scattered. We're going to keep you updated on that. Just give us a moment to figure out what's happening here. Folks, in case you missed it, sheet 2, Alan just made a great shot, a little tick on the back one to roll into the back of the forefoot to lie 2 with hammer. So now we have Jim coming down, and his first of 2 skip rocks. He's thrown a couple down this path where he's tried to tap his blue back. And I think this one is getting real critical. He's either got to make that shot. I think any in-off of the one that's sitting on the back might be a secondary choice for him. But let's take a look at what he has here right now. He's playing the in-turn, and we know this is the swingy side. All right, sweepers are on it.
Sweepers are on it real hard.
really hard. He doesn't have big weight. They've called him off. Well by the guard. Just, oh, they needed to be on that. Gosh, oh.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, needed to be on that one.
All right, so now this is an interesting opportunity here for Alan. Depending on how aggressive he wants to get, it looks like he may be taking out that top blue right there, and maybe even trying to double off of that. If he clears both of them, he's going to be sitting 4, which is going to be a real hard thing for Jim to deal with here, especially with that many rocks in the 4-foot.
We've got an interesting situation here. It looks like we're measuring on sheet 1. I believe we're measuring for shot rock, but it might be for second.
And the Joe Smith team currently is up 3-1. They are the Redstones. So let's see what we have here.
So we're
Meanwhile-
coming down, and on sheet 2, it doesn't look like the sweepers are touching it at all. They may even be signaling that it's a little big. Oh, and it just crashed right there into that little guard pile. Gosh, so now we have now it's going to be an interesting situation for Jim. Be a real question of what they're going to do. So him and Paul are going to stand back there a while, and they're going to discuss all their options, because they sure have a bunch. They have the in-off that Charles mentioned last time. They have a now that the guards are moved a little bit, I think that the tap may be open as well.
Weston, that port between the two guards on the right-hand side is not very big.
It's not big at all. I don't know if they can get through it, or if they could maybe even do a little negative, go through there. I don't know how. I mean, you guys played that sheet. Does it stay a little straight with negative ice over there, or does it still?
Coming in left to right, it actually falls on you. It'll curl just at the end as it loses speed. So you got to
Gotcha.
be playing back 4. Quick update here. On sheet 1, we have the Joe Smith, who has stolen one here in the 4th in order to lead the game 4-1. We're back to sheet 2. Jim Moy is still looking at this shot. Jim, what are you thinking here?
I'm thinking Jim looks like he thinks he can get through that port, and I think there is a chance. I would personally be looking at that outside tick in to roll to center from his left guard. But they're the ones on the ice, so they might have seen something in this end that leads them to believe they can get through that port and sit on the button.
There's a couple of tricky spots there. He is playing it through the port, and with any additional weight, that thing actually does stay fairly straight.
And I think
Well,
Jim's
with
going
this-
to come down here with, there's controlled normal, and then there's usually peel weight. I think Jim may even go a little higher than that with his big boy weight.
He might be trying to actually get it into the booth here.
Jim can throw the biscuit. He looks a little inside here.
Yeah. Oh, it might make
He's
it.
got it! He's got it!
Oh,
what a
what a
great shot that was!
They might want to get that rock off sheet 1.
Oh, hey, Jim, what a great shot.
Great
And
shot there. I don't know if we were sitting 1 or if they kept him to 1, but that was a phenomenal line.
I think he's kind of kept him to 1. I think blue, Jim's rock, is sitting second. But you know what, anytime you don't have hammer and you only give up 1, it's mission accomplished.
That's always a victory. Getting the hammer back is, and especially it's as I've always heard it been told, it's the easiest way to get hammer back. Just give up 1.
Absolutely. And I had trouble seeing Alan trying to get more than 1 right here. I don't know. Do you guys see a way in?
There's extremely risky shots that he could do. He could kind of try to do the same. He could actually do a takeout on his own, almost through the same line that Jim was coming through, and maybe just take a little bit on his on the red that's in the 8-foot.
It looks like they might be trying the raise here with that high guard.
Yeah, that's definitely another option.
You know, Jim, I think that's a great call because even if you miss it, you give up one, you make it perfectly, you count 3. I think the odds are really in your favor.
So Jim's sliding out, or sorry, that's
Alan.
Fraley sliding out here.
Gonna be a really exact call here from
Line
Ryan.
looks pretty good.
I think he's got them on for line. I think it may cut in a little too much here.
It is
It's a little
light.
wow. It's really light.
You know, once again, it's that outside part of the sheet that really seems to slow down because of the excess pebble on there, and you really got to give it another 10 feet of ice in order to make the shot. So, you know, and I think kudos to Jim here for holding Allen to 1. And currently, you look at it, he is down 4-2 going into the 5th end with hammer.
Not a bad spot to be.
I mean, whenever you have hammer, I think the goal is always to get 2. So I mean, if they can do what they need to do here, it's gonna be tied up going into the 6th end, and he's gonna have and we're gonna have a tight game coming down to the stretch here.
Yep, you know what? Take 2, give up 1. You're going to win a lot of games that way.
Looks like Fraley's calling for his center guard, and Diana's stepping into the hack.
You know, center guard always a good idea, especially on I mean, when the ice is tricky, if he can control the center of the ice, it's always a good plan.
That rock's coming down. Sweepers are on it now. They are going hard.
All right, folks. I think we should kind of look at a couple of other sheets. First of all, on sheet 3, we seem to have a shootout here in the Wild Wild West. The Mansell Rink came back with, after being down 5-0, have come back with 2 in the 3rd and a steal of 3 in the 4th to tie it up at 5-5. Pardon me, after 4 ends. On sheet 4, we have Bisons versus Cool in the gang. And this one still remains rather tight. Currently, we are looking at 4-2, and that is in favor of Cool at this point in time. And on the last rank, we have TC Altus. And we're going to have to update you on that one in a minute. We just can't see the scoreboard from this end, just too many people in the way. But we'll give you a call on that as soon as we know.
As for the action back on sheet 2, Jen Perez is lining up for her shot as Stones come to a rest there. And Allen looks like he's going for some up-weight double takeout action. That tap on the shoulder means he wants it hot.
Some like it hot. Just coming back to sheet 5, we have Stephen Heidel, TC Altus, Lauren Schapper, and Zebi Altus. They're up 3-0 after 4 ends.
Looks like Jen's rock on sheet 2 is a little bit lighter than the weight that was called, but they definitely get that one, and Oh, it stuck around.
Wow, just dug in quickly.
I see we've got 10 people out there in the wild web world. Anyone out there got any insight on any of the curlers in this draw that we might want to know about so we can share? Could be stories from childhood, something that a teacher once told them, or hey, maybe even some blackmail.
Sure, we take anything with client privilege that you'd like to share over the airways. That would be fine with us. We're a bit of an anonymous group here. Anyway, here we are. Sheet 2. No Crack in the Hack versus Joe Smith. Versus Fraley. Alan Fraley. And we seem to have a good game developing here. So currently we have Fraley. We have Diana Wu throwing. We don't. We have Jan Perez, and she is throwing her last rock.
Coming out pretty hot. Looks like he's going to try to get that high guard up. And it is on a line. The sweepers are going for it. Let's see what happens. Boy, did that rock move at the end.
It cuts over as soon as it loses any kind of speed at all. Jim, did you find the same thing when you played earlier this morning? Sorry, folks, just a moment of silence there. We had the maintenance come in here, just needing to use this room for a moment.
Got Jim's last rock there seems to have come to rest, and Ryan's preparing to throw his first of 2.
Right, Ryan's in the hack right now, and Alan's looking at a couple of different options. He is sitting one, kind of not corner frozen, but just slightly behind a blue rock. And I think Alan's calling for the offensive strategy to draw to the middle.
Seems like a pretty good call to get some action going. Also, there's a couple of rocks up in front, so this could become a hard spot to another stone or two.
Yeah, we know that there's a lot of slide, a lot of right to left on this one. And it really moves hard. Line looks pretty good right now.
Starting to come over real hard now.
Weight looks good.
It just snuck past there, but it's a bit heavy. And that's all the way out, folks.
Okay. Now, if Jim can knock this out, I think he's line 3 or 4 with hammer. Advantage to Jim if he can make this one.
Absolutely. This would be what he's been setting up for a couple of ends here. The comeback to grab hammer and can make some big dents.
It's interesting that he had to call the negative ice on that one just because of where it's positioned. It looks to be close. Oh, he's got it. What a great shot. And look at that roll behind cover, right to the forefoot.
Rolled right down and froze back to one of his stones. That's going to be a tough one to move.
Folks, Jim's got a big end coming up here. Now, Fraley has 3 shots left. And, I think that Ryan's really got to make a pistol here. Let's see what Alan is calling. Oh, he's also calling. He's calling for the draw. Gosh, guys, you got to make this one. Got to make this one, or you're on your way to giving up 5.
That rock's coming down. It looks like it might be a bit inside.
Yeah, it's heavy too. So we'll see what happens here.
Crashing.
Oh, right through.
All right.
Ow.
So that last stone there came in with just enough heat to get one of the Jim Muyo's guards out, and Fraley now has 2 guards sitting right on the center line, which could be very advantageous to raise in a couple of stones here.
Okay, so we have Paul Zaka right here with his draw attempt. And let's see how he makes out. Way looks good. Sweepers are eyeing this one. It is real close, folks. This is real close. Doesn't hurt to leave it high, but he's got to be in the house.
And he just snuck it by there. That is going to be right down to the 8-foot.
Oh.
Great rock.
Okay, what a great shot. Now let's talk a bit about keeping that rock high as opposed to keeping it deep. We've talked about this before, but by keeping it high, even if he hits, he is still not shot rock, which really forces Alan's hand. 2 rocks left. Once again, Jim's got something cooking here.
Yeah, you're right, Charles. And you know that Jim's happy with the way Paul's rock finished out there. If it had left itself out a little bit even, he would not be the same spot.
Right. Jim, you're absolutely right. So Alan's settling in here. He's getting ready to throw. Gosh, this is one of those turning points in the game. I think Jim has been very patient all game, and this may be the end where it really comes to fruition for him. All right, the stone is out. He seems
on
to have.
Way. Seems a bit narrow again. He might be going for the raise on this.
It's so hard because there's that red rock in front. Oh, look at
Oh,
the
it
rock
is
cut
moving
off.
all the way over, and that actually worked out a little bit better than he probably expected.
Right, it still left that middle jammed up. Now, Jim has a couple of options. How does he come in? Does he come in deep? I think Jim is still line 5. And let's remember, Alan only has 1 shot left. So really, the idea of what should be going on in Jim's mind is, how can I place a shot so it'll be very, very difficult for Alan to come in and score 1. He can always leave him with that little raised tap that is sitting on the left-hand side of the ice. But you know what? That is a tough, tough, tough shot. I think he's coming in to plug this hole, and I agree with that. I think that's the right shot.
Absolutely, Charles. I think guarding up that port that they've been playing the whole night, that side of the ice is something they know well. So if he can get a well-placed stone right up at the top of the house, it's going to make it nearly impossible for Alan to get around it, and he's going to have to play a much harder shot than he.
Absolutely, and I mean, they've been after that same port all night, and as my good friend Ben Womack would say, same. We're playing the same shot again and again.
Now, Jim's come out pretty light here. His big worry would be if this doesn't actually make it across the hog line, although it looks like it's got plenty. Sweepers are on it now. They got to get it there.
Yeah, it's all about line at this point in time.
Yeah, high is not a bad thing, and it looks like that's where that stone's going to end up, and that could be trouble for Alan.
Boy, he needed just a little more weight on that. He did get it over, but, oh gosh, I think there's a little sliver of hope there for Alan.
I would agree.
Jim left the door open, but he's got to make a great shot, or we have Jim looking at 6, which would really change the whole complexion of the game. I'm sorry, be looking at 4.
4 is still a lot of stones.
All right, we're going to stay with this sheet as we come down to the last 2 stones.
Fun fact for the viewers out there is actually Ryan Alvarado, who is playing third for Alan. He actually was our first coach in my intro league. He put more into coaching than any other coach there until he decided it was time to take vacation, and then he was gone.
Well, vacation's important too.
Absolutely.
Okay, they're still conferring as to what to do. They're not sure. LK Ellen is coming down. They've made a decision here.
I mean, when you have the opportunity to possibly give up 4, I think every decision becomes extremely magnified. I think they just want to take their time and make sure that they got the right ice, the right call. Everyone's on the same page.
Right. Jim's calling for more ice down here, and you know what? I always find that. Oh, I'm sorry, Ellen is calling for more ice. I always find that a little disconcerting. After you've taken amount of time, you should be knowing what your ice is. Tough to change the shot and the ice in the hack. And here we go. Let's see what Ellen delivers.
Out of the hack and away. Stone is traveling on its own now.
Keepers are watching it.
It's got to move over quite a bit if it's going to get by that guard.
Looks like it's going to crash.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, it just squirted by. Is it going to get there?
Oh! Well, it didn't quite get to the button, but it's going to help Fraley out quite a bit in keeping scoring too many for Muyo.
Now, does he have a direct hit on that to count more points? So it's something he's looking at.
I think it may even swing a little too much. If we saw that previous shot, it just snuck by the that outside rock there. I mean, maybe with a lot of weight he could get to it.
They might be looking at the opposite handle here, and they might come across the face of the house and try to just take it back inside.
We found with weight that spot stays real straight. But we'll see how Jim looks at it. He is, how many is he counting right now? Is he counting 2?
Looks like 3.
3.
I'd have to look at that red right there. I think Al may have cut that down. It's unclear whether, I mean, it's either 3 or 1 at this point. It really depends on where that red that Paul's standing over right now actually ended up.
I got a feeling Jim's going to try to hit this with some pretty good weight, just to keep the rock straight and get it by all the guards.
I think so too. I'm with you there, Jim.
He's already proved that he could, with enough weight, he can slam something through a tight hole there.
Rock's on the way.
Trying to make it by the guard here. He's not
just made it by.
Oh,
he has a
goodness.
great line at it, and
Got
that
it.
rock is out of
He's
here.
Got it.
And
what a great
spilled
shot.
in.
Great shot by Jim.
Great
We're
shot.
guessing
there's a big number
he's
that's going to be on the
got
board here.
a 5er, and that is a whole lot of granite.
All right, Jim, nice shot. Pressure shot by the skip. As you know, that's why they get paid the big bucks, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for you 2 front-end players for saying that.
No problem.
Oh, wait, Jim's the skip. It's just Weston that we get to pick on. I don't know if you got a shot in earlier about the skips versus the back end, but we heard it up here. We don't know if all of you viewers heard it. So let's just take a minute to see what's happening on our other games. Joe Smith. They seem to still be firmly in control. I don't see. Oh, they actually had another 2 in the 5th end. It would appear that they're up 6-1. However, the other team does seem to have something cooking here with their blue stones.
All right, Diana's lining up for her first rock of the end, and we're gonna see what Alan's looking for. It looks like Alan's just trying to get either in or to the top of the house. After that 5er, he's got to be thinking about ways he can keep rocks in play.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Jim. But you know what? You have a big end like that, and you know it's pretty easy to sit back sometimes, rest on your laurels. You can. You got to keep the hammer down. You got to keep going hard.
Ooh, Diana's rock came up just a little bit short, and that could have something to do with the fact they have not played that side of the sheet much.
Right. I think at a time like this, when you've got that lead, you've got to get your first rock in the house. If you're playing without the hammer, you've got a lead. Bring your rock in, make the opposition, make a play on it, and that way, hopefully, you can just keep them to one. You start throwing a lot of junk out there, gosh, that's when you can run into trouble in the big end.
The second stone of Jim's team is coming right on in there and right through the house. I think that was planned.
Wow. I'm not sure. I missed the call on it initially. You know, I have a coach back in Lethbridge, Alberta, and he says whenever you have a lead and you have any rocks in the house, they hurt you. They don't help you. Because if there's no rocks in the house, you're going to win the game. Rocks in the house give your opposition something that they can play to. And you know what, Jim? Maybe that was the case of what he was thinking about.
Very well could have been. Fraley's stone's coming down here, and it looks like it's pretty close to a center guard. It's probably a little bit wider than maybe it was intended.
Yep. I saw Jim motion back here, and he wants to come around that. And hopefully he can keep this in front of the tee line as opposed to behind the tee line.
This is Chris's stone on its way down the ice, and it looks like it might just sneak behind Alan's last rock and right into the house.
Right, look at this rock grind right here. You think it's going through, instead it's back 8. A little heavy, but great line.
Absolutely, and that's not a bad play. Even if they start stacking stones with freezes, it's not going to hurt Jim quite as bad as if he'd left it high or left it way near the back.
So now Jim's got it, or Ellen's got to deal with this stone, right? He's got to deal with playing on that side. He's either got to come down and hit it, he's got to freeze to it, or he's got to come and be, top 4 or so and fully behind. I mean, his best shot is to be right behind cover and top 4 foot on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great line, but just a hair short.
Definitely. That could come back to bite him. He's kind of covered up Jim's rock, so the only way to get there is going to be with a hit.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a pause for a word from our sponsors. All right, looks like Jim's calling for the raise. I hope everyone's ready to buy the cars they just heard about.
Yep. It was a little bit of a photo op, and we had to pose for the cameras. It's not often that us faceless voices actually get a photo op, so we thought we'd take full advantage of it. Oh, Ellen is looking for the raise. Weight looks good at this point in time. Now,
coming on down there, it looks
got
like
a
it's
sweet
just going to
voice.
tap it.
Just
And-
a hair light, Jim.
Hair light, and it curled over a little bit more than I think he wanted, but that actually gives him a good look at coming right back onto Jim Stone.
Absolutely. So, Jim, let's just kind of take a bit of a recap here. We are playing in the 6th end, and after that big 5 counter here, we have Jim ahead by a score of 7-3. Jim, what kind of strategy do you want to play going into 6 with a 4-point lead like that?
With that kind of lead, I'm looking to keep it pretty even, try to make it real hard, and put up a bunch of guards. I want stuff up above the house, and I want stuff out of the house, but if my stones are sitting around, it's going to give Alan some backing, and he could play off of that really easily.
Yeah.
It looks like Jim seems to have the advantage with a team that's pretty confident with their hits.
Absolutely.
So even if I got some into the house of my own rocks, I might just clear them out if I thought it would help Alan out.
I think what you want to do with a big lead like this is you really want to keep the play clean. Anything that you have for guards up there, if they're yours or your opponents, it just gives somebody something to hide around, and you don't need that. Keep this clean. You don't have hammer coming into the 6. You always want to score on the even ends. But if you're up by 4 points, you can easily give up 1. Going into the 7 with the hammer, with the 3-point lead, I think that's a pretty comfortable place to be.
And for the updates here on sheet 1, Joe Smith is in a commanding lead. It looks like it's going to be 6-1.
Right. Now, however, what did happen is our other team has just scored.
Oh.
So they are, and I don't think they marked it yet.
Ah.
Now we're getting a few comments that are coming in from the viewers, so that's good. Here's one from Ben Womack. Have I mentioned you before? Charles Funk, you have the face for radio. Don't break the camera.
Well, Ben, it's a very good thing. There is no camera pointed back at us. It is strictly on the ice.
Yeah, and you know what? I could be really crude here and say you have the face for viewing radio, but I won't say anything like that because I don't want to stoop to those levels. We love you, Ben and Lucinda. Glad you guys are tuned in.
So back on sheet 2, it looks like they are just stacking rocks at this point. Alan is calling for that raise again. He wants to get something towards the 4-foot. Jim seems pretty secure sitting with that 1 in the back 8.
Exactly. I agree with you, Jim. I mean, it's a golden opportunity for Alan right here. He has got to make this shot. He's got to play the bump to sit. He could try to come around, which is not a bad position either because the rock that he is trying to bump is actually in the house. But the bump is not a bad idea. The split is not a bad idea. Let's see what happens. This rock looks like it's going to grind at the back 8 foot.
It is all the way down, and that's a little too heavy. It just sat right into the 12.
Yep, top 12, probably 3 or 4 feet too heavy. All right, and now it's Jim. Do you take away that bump? Do you try to go in? What are you going to try to do?
I think he's going to try to draw in and follow that shot that Alan just threw. I'm not sure if I would take that same route. I might try to throw another high guard up there and prevent anything from getting through that port.
Jim, let's kind of take a look at the options, right? If you throw a high guard, you're now forcing Alan to come around. He no longer has that bump. One of the dangers that you have is that if you leave that bump available for it and he makes it back onto your blue, he is sitting 2, and now you've got to change your whole strategy. The idea of playing a high guard, forcing Alan to come around, sit for 1, you follow him, you can give up 1 anytime, right? You have a 3-point lead. You just can't give up 2 or 3 because that really cuts into it.
Absolutely, and if you're able to just let him take 1 out of this end, you end up with the hammer again, and that is sitting 3 up with hammer, not a bad spot.
I agree. You know, something that happens with a lot of teams is you don't really define the objective of what you want, and I have to tell you, the objective can change, right, depending upon where the stones are. But really, the objective here should be for Jim to give Alan 1. And I think by having that rock in the back blue sitting there, that protects him from getting more than 1. It's a good shot. Actually, I like that guard he just threw.
I do too. I was not expecting that, but it looks like a good spot. Could have been over a little bit closer to center. Alan's going to have a heck of a time getting around that, though.
I agree with you. Okay, the brim is down. The brim's down at the 8-12. Corner of the 8-12. That's a real swingy side. Really dependent upon weight, isn't it?
Absolutely. Alan's weight's been pretty on point for this draw, and I would expect to see more of the same.
I think Alan's a pretty good curler. seems to have it down pat.
Alan, in a different rink were the event winners at our recent 5 and Under in Seattle.
Oh, good. Yeah, playing dedicated ice in Seattle, always a bit of an adjustment. Always make you wonder kind of where are we sitting with dedicated ice? Where are we going with this story? And you know, I've kind of lost sight of that here with the San Francisco rink.
Well, we're still looking for viable building options, Charles, and it's tough because property is not cheap. So if anyone out there has something that about 130 feet long and 70 feet wide that they'd like to turn into a curling rink,
Come talk to us.
come talk to us.
Wow. Guys, we have a golden opportunity here for Jim to steal. Now, does he have enough room to sneak one in for second shot? I'm not sure.
Now, Charles, I'm actually a little weary of Jim coming around the outside to try to get in there. With 3 red stones up, he could give up 1 or more.
I don't know. I think it would be tough because he does have that blue back there. I think that, you know, for him to raise one back there, I don't think that will happen. I don't know this ice and this shot as well. But I think he's got to be lighter rather than heavy. Like, even if he plugs it up, the worst he can do is give up 1 unless there's some miracle raise hit.
Shot does look lighter versus heavy, and the line could be interesting. I can't quite see.
He's got it. He's got it.
It is. Oh, yeah.
So
now
there we
that
go.
is a shot.
So there is a great example of the best defense being a good offense. And I think he has really, really put the pressure on Allen. This is kind of like the Sports Center or as we call in Canada, Toronto Sports Network, the TSN turning point. Allen has got to make this one. And where he's sitting, kind of top 4, it's tough to punch that back and remain shot. Stay tuned, folks, and we're going to give you an update on the other games in just a few minutes. But first of all, we want to see Alan Fraley's last shot here on 6. This is a game changer.
All right, Allen's lined up in the hack, and let's let her start. There he goes. On his way. Rock is away. Sweepers are watching this one closely. They've got to be just on to make sure it is the weight they are looking for.
Boy, you know, sure looks close in weight, but
It looks like
I
it
think
might
he's
be
got it
ticking.
there.
Oh!
oh boy.
Just a bit inside, and we're looking at Muyo sitting 1 or 2? 2.
Two for
Jeez,
Muyo.
What a steal.
Boy, that brings him up to a lead of 9-4. And you know, something I've really been impressed with Jim has been his patience. Because really, at the first couple of ends, he kind of was behind the 8 ball.
It would have been easy to feel the heat and try to put up something big, but he's taken a very slow and methodical approach to crawling back into this, and he has built himself a very nice lead.
Absolutely. So, a few updates. We have Joe Smith on sheet 1, still with a comfortable lead. I think the last that I see here is 6-2, and we're now playing in the 7th end. So quite comfortable for Joe Smith. Joe Smith out of Wine Country Curling. The Mansell rink do not score often, but when they do, it is big. And they're playing the 7th end, and currently they are up 9-7. That seems to be a shootout in the OK Corral. Let's go to Bison's versus Cool. And that is happening on sheet 4. And we have the Blue Stones that have 8. And we have the Yellowstones that have 4. And it would appear that the Yellowstones are being played by Bob Cool, who is now down 4. I think that's all due to a huge end that that happened by Bisons in the 5th end on where they scored. I believe that they stole 3 points, Jim.
It looks like they had a 3-ender and a 4-ender, and that is not a string you want to see against.
Yeah, 7 points in 2 ends, and one of them being a steal. So I think they have come on in leaps and bounds.
And it looks like down there on sheet 5, there's a is it a 5 to 2?
It looks like 5-2, and that is for the Yellowstones. And I believe we are
I
playing.
think that would be
7th end.
TC's team.
It is TC Altus's team. I don't believe that the 6th end is marked yet, and we will get back to you on that. Right now, I think where my interest is actually on the team between Markowski and Mansell on sheet 3, where everybody seems to score a field goal. Last field goal is going to win on that game, Jim.
Yeah, well, sometimes you got to kick them to make them.
You know what? Very true. Very true.
We're lined up here on sheet 2 again. We wish we could switch the camera view over to sheet 3, but until we have that dedicated ice, that's not going to happen.
Now here's a rarity. I see this fellow walk in with a San Francisco jacket. That is Wes Seeger, who has just moved to Phoenix. And I think the dedicated ice had something to do with his move. And in following him on Facebook, I know that his house has just been completed, and he has moved in, and he has left the area, but he has come back. It was interesting coming into the parking lot. I missed seeing his travel trailer, which was always parked at the end. When you came to the San Francisco Golden Gate Bonspiel, here was Wes Seeger's RV parked at the end of the parking lot. You knew he was into play for the weekend.
Absolutely. I've heard the trailer has made the trip, but Wes is actually still in town on some contract work he's finishing up for the next few months, and we are happy to have him. Wes has been, for those that don't know, if anyone out there hasn't met Wes, great guy, wonderful curler, and a huge advocate for our club and arena curling across the country. He's been very integral in teaching all of the new blood you see on the ice. Not that there's blood on the ice, but the folks out there, all of our young curlers have learned something either through a lesson series, a Learn to Curl, or through private lessons with Wes, and our hats go off to him.
I think there's many stories that we can tell here of people like Ryan Alvarado, Bob Cool, Wes Seeger, Jerome Larson, all of those who have done so much for curling in the western part, on the southwestern part here of the U.S., and hats go off to them. Coming from Alberta, where sometimes you stumble across a rink every 20 miles or so of dedicated ice, you guys don't have that luxury, and the perseverance and the dedication you have really just has to be marveled, and just goes to show that how the U.S. is really, really improving in the whole curling side.
Well, Charles, thank you. I know a lot of folks have put in a lot of time, and we're just happy to get any time on the ice, to be honest, in California. So, we're going to be traveling up to your neck of the woods. A lot of us are coming up in September for a little spiel at the North Hill Curling Club. There's still a few spots left for traveling teams, so if you haven't signed up yet, you should do so.
You need to talk to Tim Varga, and that's with the Canadian Club on the Rocks. They're holding the cross-border Bonspiel. They're having 12 teams from the U.S. and 12 teams that are really going to be from their North Hill club. Talking to Tim, their ice maker and general manager, said, the club is yours. Have at her. Have fun. So $260 Canadian. That's what, like $40 US?
Well, it's $40, but then we get a rebate on the beer.
I think no GST. Anyway, $260. You got to find your way up to Calgary. I know personally you can get a direct flight from San Francisco to Calgary for less than $400. So you look at that, the entry fee is quite a bit less. Great ice, phenomenal ice. And I can guarantee you're going to have an absolute riot. So contact Tim Varga. And I think that they only have maybe two spots left for the U.S. guys.
2 or 3. We heard that one of our good friends, Ozzy, if you're out there listening, may have accidentally registered twice.
You know what? Fireball will do that to you.
Yes, and he is one. Ryan Alvarado's stepping into the hack back on sheet 2. We're going to try to focus a little more on curling. But we just have a lot of fun up here. Alvarado is looking for the signs here from Fraley, and Fraley looks like he's calling for a couple of hits. Wants to probably get rid of Muyo's rock there on the button.
But now it's a good time to keep it clean when you have this kind of lead, playing in 7.
Here comes the stone, and it might be a little bit wide. It's going to be on his guard.
Yeah. So unforgiving there. But, you know what? That stone, at least you replace the guard a bit.
Yep.
We see Wes Seeger kind of in front of us, and I think Wes is coming into the booth, and I think Wes would like to come in and say hello. We're going to welcome him as the guest commentator for a moment as he quickly makes his way up here. And as I mentioned earlier, Wes and family, including the dog, have moved to Phoenix. And I don't think you've heard the last of Wes Seeger. Now that he's going to get on dedicated ice, there's going to be an incredible opportunity for him to practice. And Wes, I don't know if you can even get better. Hey, welcome, Wes.
Thank you.
Wes, how's this move going to Phoenix? You've got the house done?
The house is all done. My wife is stuck there in boxes, working here.
For how long?
Working for a year, actually.
A year?
Yeah.
Right.
So where are you going to curl? I guess that's a big question.
I think I will curl in the fall and winter in.
Right.
I'll spend all my time.
Nice. Nice. Well, that'll be good. Lots of air miles for you going back and forth.
And if anyone's interested in those lessons, how can they get a hold of you?
When I offer them, so you need to be in Facebook.
Facebook is the key, folks.
Yeah. So when I open up a series, I'll list all the dates that are available. Email and take the one that you want. So it works.
Yeah. Well, that would be good. I mean, it's nice to know that you're still close friends to all. You're still giving lessons. I mean, you're one of the guys who has really gone out and taught many of the people here. Like if we take a look at the 5 rinks, and we have 40 people out there. I bet you can name quite a few that you have taught.
Yeah. Some level or another, almost every. But it was interesting at the Arena National, making some proud comments about everybody here. So they were all doing well. So how was the commentating?
It's been fantastic, actually. It's our first time all working together. But despite the chaos of a booth that's about 220 feet from certain ends, we've been having a good time, and looks like we've actually just ended a couple of draws on the 4th sheet there.
So, Jim, what's happened there? I think we had Bob Cool and Cool in the gang, and John Tryon with Bison's on the range. I may have the names mixed up, but I think that's one where Bison's come out on top.
It does look that way.
Right. So we have one game in the books. Right now we're sitting at around 6:30, so about 15 minutes prior to the end of the match. The bell has gone, and I've sort of lost track as to how many ends each has left.
Well, sheet 1 here is working on their 8th end, and
They only have about 3 rocks left. They're almost
done, and I think with that score, they're almost done, aren't they?
Absolutely. I don't think it'll go to extra ends. Still looks like Joe Smith is holding a commanding lead, and they should come out of this pretty much unscathed.
I don't know if it's too soon to call the election results, but something big would have to happen for Joe Smith to lose this one. How about Ellen Fraley here on number 2, which is our feature game tonight. He's down to his first skip rocks. What is he looking at? It looks like there's a couple in the house, but that blue, or he's got a blue rock there that's causing him some difficulty.
Yeah, indeed. He's got a blue one kind of buried close to the back of the forefoot. If he's able to get to it, this could be a good end for him to make some moves, but it's going to be tough.
He could tie the game in this. Come home.
Always a tough situation, but I have a friend who calls it stealing without consequence. You can steal as many as you want. You can give up as many as you want. It's of no consequence. You either win or you lose. Way to look at the game.
Age advice. Well, listen, fellows, I'm doing do some. Guys later.
Hey, Wes, thanks for coming around. Thanks for your Facebook posts. I'm glad your house construction has gone fairly well, and glad you're there. And I know that we're going to see Phoenix. We love Phoenix from our Lethbridge club. It's kind of our sister club for us. We really love what they do. Looking forward to there.
All
Thanks,
right,
buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Good. All right, as we bid adieu to Wes Seeger, we now have Jim Oya coming down for his last skip rock. Jim once again has a commanding lead, but there is a red rock that is sitting there right on the top 4.
Jim's rock is away, and we just like his sweepers are watching it closely. Looks like he's gonna tick off of one of his guards and leave that center wide open. I think that's probably a good move.
Well, interesting here. It did open up that port for 2 for Ellen. Let's see if Ellen can now capitalize on this one.
Gonna be tough. His weight's gonna have to be dead on to make it to the forefoot without getting too far, unless he's coming straight on down and thinks he can get that blue at the back of the 4.
Right. Quick update here on sheet 3. It appears that Mansell has stolen another one in the 7th end to lead at 10-7 going into the 8th end against Markowski. So we'll keep you posted on that score. So here's Ellen with his last shot. Turn lane down by 3 points. He can make this to be down by 2, coming home 1 down, needing to steal. Game on. And here we go. Look, the sweepers are on it. They've got it by.
Great line.
Yeah,
he's
great
he's in
shot.
there for 2 for sure. It's gonna be 2 to Fraley. It looks like. We'll give you a confirmation as soon as we get one.
2 for sure. And they're pushing the rocks away. We're going to have to take a look at how many they put up on the board. Give you an exact number on it. Heat 1, we have Joe Smith. Joe Smith. And firmly in control. We're down to Skip's rocks. Last rock by Brian Prowd there. Skip. Facing, I believe he's either facing 1 or he's line 1. It's very close. But with the lead he has, I don't see there's much of a way that Glaeser can come back on this one. Prowd maybe a hair light. Oh, the sweepers are working on. He's got great weight. Good boy, Brian. Good shot. That'll take it
Right
in.
on in there.
That should seal the deal.
Over on sheet 2, first rock for Diana. Looks a little bit short. And Muyo's calling for his first stone. It's going through the house.
Would appear Muyo is up 9 to 7 or 9 to 6, so he's up by 3 coming into the last end.
He's going to want to make sure he doesn't leave anything hanging out there for cover or to sit against.
Absolutely. Don't leave anything close at all whatsoever. Handshakes are on 1 with the Prowd rink. Things are slowly winding down here. Jim, do you see anything that where we have the future in doubt?
I'd say most of these games are pretty well wrapped up the way they stand.
Okay.
It's going to be final scores is all we're looking to get at the end here. With the exception of Fraley and Muyo, there is a chance that if Fraley can get his stones in and keep them in, he just needs 3 in the house.
Yeah, 3 in the house, stealing without hammer, and right now we've got 4 rocks through. It's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be tough, but all it takes is 1 to start it.
It really is a trickle-down effect, isn't it?
Yep. And I'm just hoping his team too discouraged because they have played a heck of a match, and it really fell down to Muyo calling a really fantastic few ends that built him a lead that might be insurmountable for him.
Absolutely. Once again, the key there, patience. Had nothing but patience, and it's really paid off for him. Now, Jim, are you on at the 7:15 draw?
I'm on the air again. I won't be back on the ice until 7:30 a.m.
What did you do wrong?
Apparently everything.
Okay.
And I know you guys are headed back out there.
We're going to be on sheet 3. We're going to be on the TV sheet. However, that is not the viewing sheet here. So all of our fans, all 1 or 2 of them, will have to we'll have to just listen to your updates. We are playing Pebble Without a Cause.
All right. Pebble Without a Cause, of course, from good old OC with Misha as the skip, and
right.
She might have her 5th in place, depending on how things are going right now. Really fun group of folks. Glad they can always make it
Oh,
up.
you know what? They have nothing but fun. Absolutely nothing but fun. You've got to admire them for what they do. So yeah, it'll be a good game. I know our skip, Darren Molding, is has been throwing some big heat. He's really been throwing the biscuit well. We had a bit of a tough game on our first one. Tough in terms of took us about 3 ends to really understand the ice and having a little rust since our clubs have been closed down for about 3 or 4 weeks. But I'm hoping that we've shaken that off, and now we're going to get a chance to get out there and play hard and play well.
I don't doubt the rust has been shaken off after first couple of ends, and you guys will be throwing with the best of them. It is always a little tough for visiting teams to come into our Bonspiel for that reason specifically. I know a lot of clubs shut down about mid-April, and you might not see ice until you get here, and this is not the ice that you remember.
You know what? It is different, but I always say both teams have to play on the same ice.
Absolutely.
So what you need to do is you need to adapt to the ice and understand where you need to put the broom. Probably the most important part of what your skip can do.
Definitely. And in the ice, it's a lot of people say it's squirrely. I think it's it's just you to the Bay Area. We actually have 3 locations we curl out of, and everyone has its different challenges. Fremont is one that we don't curl out of all year long. So most of our teams that are here have only had the chance to curl here in the last couple of weeks.
Well, my understanding is the secret to having fairly consistent ice is the ability to get on it early in the week, be able to flood it to get it straight, and after that, you have to be able to use your ice king, scrape it to pebble it, to scrape it to pebble it, and in order to make it real flat. I don't think you're going to be at perfect ice at any time.
Nope. And I have to hand it to a couple of folks in specific. I know there's a lot of folks that put some hard work into our ice this Bonspiel, but Barry Ivy and Tom Diaz have been spending every Thursday taking laser level measurements, turning every in and out of this ice to try to get the best sheet. And I feel like they've done a fantastic job, and the volunteer ice crew that's out there that's been pebbling and scraping between draws, they are working miracles.
I think both Tom and Barry deserve a big thank you. Also, John Tryon comes in and brings some experience to it that way. Really a well-rounded group that has done a great job with the ice. If we're looking for perfection, if we're looking for Briar ice or World ice, you know what, guys, it's not going to happen. But what we have, it's very, very playable. And it really brings out the best in the teams. Like, it should be the best team that wins and the best team that understands the ice. Some people say that bad ice seems to level the playing field. And you know what? Maybe it does in a way, but in a very, very, very small way. You still have to read the ice and make the best shots. And you know what? End of the day, team that makes the best shots could be the team that wins. That's okay. That's where curling should be.
All right, we're headed into the thirds here for week 2, and Fraley's got one biting on the 12 foot there. He's down to his last 2 stones, so both of these are going to have to be counting for him to even consider tying. It's going to be an interesting call, but hey, these are the shots you want to make as a skip. You playing to win.
Well, you know, Alan's got one counting in the house, and he has one guard that is just off center. Now, if he can take that and he can bury it full 8, he's then counting 2, and he does not have the hammer, which is really to his detriment. But he's got to take this and he's got to hide it, because you know that Jim's got a couple of shots.
And Puyo team is not afraid to make a hit when they need to, and they've been on point this whole draw.
They have been.
So, see what happens here. Allen's out of the hack, and he's away. Stone is coming on down. Sweepers are on it now.
Should be weight only, because this is a fairly straight spot with the negative ice. Weight looks good.
Weight looks good. They're going to get to the rings, but it's not hiding anywhere. That is plain sight.
Go one. All Jim has to do is take this out, and it truly is game over. Interesting scenario coming up here on sheet 3, and folks, you cannot see it, but it is Mansell and Markowski, and Mansell has a hit, not wide open, but he does have a hit, and he is hoping to run the Yellowstone, the opponent's rock, out, and that would be for the win. Should he jam it, the opponent will have a chance to tie the game. So let's see what Mansell does here. Elliot's a great curler. And it would appear that he has taken this out. It will be game over. He has run Markowski out of rocks. Back here to sheet 2. Back to Jim. Slide us out.
Jim's rock
There's
is
no
on
call.
the way.
Needs to curl a bit and take it out. Anything. Oh! Gosh, we have a swing. You know what? That side really seems to cut hard. A
That
little unpredictable.
That does leave the open shot for Allen to draw in. Got to get it in the paint, and then he's going to sit back and watch what happens. This is a tough one. He's going to want to bury this right behind that guard, probably full 8 foot safe.
Jim, you know, that's a tough one. Gosh, you know, what are you going to do? Trying to bury it behind that guard? Problem is, it just does not curl that way. It does not curl from the center out to the wings, going from right. So could you possibly take it and bury it around the one that that Jim just missed? Maybe that's your best shot.
That could be.
I don't think you want to hit it and kind of widen the hitting circle. You may even want to come right up to it. Actually freezing up to it isn't a bad idea, but you got to.
Yeah. Be interesting. Brian's got his broom out, and Allen's on his way to the hack. Are getting their instructions. They know what it needs to be. Now Allen just has to get it there.
Okay, here's a shot by Alan Fraley. Right, the silence seems deafening. I'll wait for Alan to deliver his rock.
Anticipation is strong in here. Allen's on his way. Sweeper's closing around it. And they're just watching. Now they're going. Now
It's
they're
not
going.
heavy.
It is not heavy. It looks to maybe be a little bit light.
We have Ryan out to help.
Yeah, they don't want this to be light. They know if it's light, it's done.
You know what? Actually, just snugging up to it is not a bad shot. And he is, I think, in? Not. He's not in. There's handshakes
There's
under here.
handshakes. Muyo has won the draw, and that was a good fight.
Good fight all the way around. Muyo missing his first shot really added to some of the pressure on this. However, you know what? We're at a point here. Wow. Now, you know what? We seem to have a bit of a situation happening on sheet 3 that I did not realize. We had at the other end, we had the yellow and the blue turned around, blue, and we were calling it wrong. We said Mansell was up by 3. Mansell was down by 3 and have just taken 3 to tie the game. So we are going to go to Skip's Rocks on number 3 for the win. So we have David Markowski, who actually flashed his last shot in order to make it. Just ticked it and nicked it over. And then Mansell came and actually
Going to draw the button.
draw to the button.
All right.
Yep. Mansell came and hit and stuck July 3 to tie it up. And in this situation, so we have Markowski and we have Mansell both throwing to see who's going to win this game. And this is the first game that both teams have played. So let's see, and I think the rules say those that would normally have hammer will shoot last. So given that, it'll be... Gosh, we're looking hard. I think it's Mansell who is shooting first. Not sure if that's where the rules called it, but you know, at the end of the day, Jim, I don't think that makes much difference. Yeah. We do have Mansell on sheet 3. Now, you're unable to see this on your screen, so we're trying to give you a visual. and they're coming to the home end, and we have Mansell with his rock just cleaning. He's got his sweepers ready. We have Raymond Wyman, Gord Cherry, and Tom Diaz here, and we have delivered the rock. Sweepers are looking at it. Weight looks close.
And the sweepers are sweeping it now.
Looks to be a bit close or a bit light. I see Raymond, who has come out, and I'm not sure. This is not going to reach the rings. They are just short of the rings. So really, the situation, Jim, here comes down: can David hit the paint? If David hits the paint, it's his game. He has the win. However, should he not hit the paint, I think the rules say that you're then both counted as 73 points or 73 inches away from the button, because it is a draw to the button, and both teams would have to shoot again.
Jessica's calling for the shot here. Looks like she's taken about 3 feet of ice, and we are way out of the hack. Sweepers are with it.
It looks
it's
light.
It looks light. Sweepers are on it now. They are going hard. Evan is rubbing and sweeping and fighting.
I don't think this
Jessica's
is going to
coming out
make
now.
it. He's got to go hard.
It's got a little bit more than we might expect. I think it's going to be there. It is.
It is there. It is right in the center. Attaboy, David. Nice shot. He came top button. And it's interesting. Somebody mentioned this earlier, that if this game was tied, they'd have to have a draw to the button, which they did. And now they need to have another draw to the button, and that'll be for their playoff series. So,
Looks like they're actually counting.
Anyway, well done, guys. Well done.
All right. That concludes draw 4 for Golden Gate Bonspiel here in Fremont. Thank you all for watching and hanging out with us. We had a heck of a time.
It was good. I thought it was
was.
real good. We had Weston, we had Wes.
We had
a lot of guys.
Weston, Wes, a couple other folks were waving and cheering for us, and geez, that feels good when you're not on the ice.
David
Charles-
Cicero brought me a burger.
That
Thanks,
he did.
David.
And Charles is headed back out to the ice for the next draw, and I will be joining all of you back here on the interwebs for the rest of the night. Until the next draw, about 7:15, we bid you adieu, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for listening.